Hello everybody, and welcome to this PowerPoint presentation on the science of time travel. I hope you all are ready to have your minds absolutely blown. What we know about time travel so far. Time travel is possible. We have figured this out by conducting small-scale experiments using laser technology and lighting effects with mirrors. Time travel has been accomplished in the past. You see what we've done. Notable examples of time travelers include John Titor, Charlotte Ann Moberly, Eleanor Jourdain, and Otto the Wise Time Otter. Now, what all these people have in common is that they traveled to the same place in time, a time when clams were the most dominant species. And this is why Otto the Wise Time Otter did this, because he needed the clams to survive, and scientists believe that he first time traveled in the year 2638, and but when it was somewhere in the 1970s when clams were the most dominant species on the planet, so they were able to they were tagging otters, and they noticed that Otto hadn't been tagged, and this is when they named him Otto the Wise Time Otter, because of his time extravaganza. Time travel involves travel across 4 or more dimensions. Now, it's kind of, take a piece of paper, you fold it once, and that's like the first dimension. See, each dimension is like a layer on top of each other. Now you fold it 4 more times, you have about 8, or actually you'll have like 16 layers, because you folded it 5 times, and that's it. It gets a multiple of 2 exponentially. And here we can see a clear depiction of what a time machine is not. So it's a common hoax that bagels are time machines, but you can actually the hole in the middle is actually not a wormhole to another dimension. It is in fact an empty space used to... Actually, you know what? Why is there a hole in bagels? Do we even know that? Does there need to be? It's kind of silly, but it just causes a bunch of confusion in the science industry. Those baked goods producers. How dimensions relate to time travel. Although we cannot perceive 3 of them, we can be reasonably sure that our world has 3 special dimensions, 1 time dimension, n possibility dimensions, sorry, I need to make sure I pronounce the vocab correctly, and 1 otter dimension. The 3 spatial dimensions. Well, first let's take a look at this. A diagram of the 4th dimension developed by famed time theorist Otis E. Ray. This is actually a depiction of a hypercube, also known as a tesseract, and this is what the 4th dimension is in terms of geography. Let's go with geography for now. 3 spatial dimensions. Now these are the dimensions outside of space. These are where all the black holes connect and eventually loop into each other. A time dimension, which is like the man-made perception of time, but it's alluded to a more graspier, you can grasp it, is what I'm saying. N possibility dimensions, yeah, there could be any dimensions with limitless possibilities. And of course the otter dimension, which Otto the Time Otter, the Wise Time Otter, has specifically donated his life for scientists to study. The father of time travel. Otto the Wise Time Otter was first recorded time traveler. He really liked getting those clams, and here we can see one of his clams between his hands. Can't really tell where it is, but this is a 1970s clam in a 2638-year otter. You can see he's quite old. This may or not be what the Wise Timer actually looked like. So DNA hasn't proved if it's him or not, but we have our estimates. His first successful time travel experiment was conducted in 2600 BC. So he did time travel many times, but the most recent one, which is actually the one that hasn't happened yet, is 2638. So he really likes the 2600 types of things, I guess. He eventually made his home in the n+1th dimension, hence why we refer to him as the Otter dimension. And he does well with that n+1th because he can keep leaping forward, keep getting more clams. The clams stack on each other. He really knows where he's going with that. Did I skip one? No, I didn't. Relevant theories, ideas, and works. General relativity. You know, this is the theory that you are relatively sure about something. Like you look out a window, you can see the trees through a window, so you are relatively sure that in general windows are transparent and light passes through them. The many worlds interpretation. Yes, this is a theory. This is a theory that basically there can be any number of worlds, each existing in their own ecosphere, and that they somehow connect via the Uganda explosion, which is like the beginning of time. It's another name for the Big Bang. The grandfather paradox, that you cannot have sex with your own grandfather because you would essentially be your own grandfather. Or no, you can't have sex with your own grandmother because then you'd be your own grandfather. And yeah, we have no reason to believe that this isn't possible, but our logic that we can comprehend so far tells us that we have no interpretation of it so far. The Gospel of Otto. So Otto set out on the world to collect as many clams as he could. Now he would eat the majority of them, but he would keep each one and keep it as a souvenir for his travels. And once he cleaned each clamshell and each mussel, it really enjoyed a variety of shellfish. He would write a slide. He would write n plus whatever number on each on the inside of each shell with a message, and we have yet to interpret that message for what it means, but we do know about green eggs and ham. This is another paradox that we are working at that has to do with time travel. See, green eggs and ham. Are the ham and eggs green, or is it just the green eggs? See, this is the paradox with subject-verb agreement. Warning: thinking too deeply about time can turn you into stone. This is called the Medusa basilisk effect. Scientists couldn't decide whether they wanted to go with the basilisk tradition of turning people into stone or the Medusa Gorgon tradition of turning people into stone, so they just went with the Medusa basilisk effect. Mr. T's theory of general relativity. Mr. T's general theory of relativity built off the ideas of his theory of special relativity combined with Newton's law of universal gravitation and proving once and for all that gravity can apple. And if you can apple, you can become the world's one and only. Because apples are ones. Apples are only ones. He's mainly important to time travel because of his field equations, which can be used to baffle time otters when paired with fax machines. This is a complicated procedure as well, because when you have a fax machine, it's hard to incorporate the otter elements into that, because otters are so elusive when it comes to time travel, and the cyberspace can capture frames of time travel, but usually not more than 2 or 3 sequential frames, and otters require many. To be or not to be, that is the question, Mr. T. Oh, you wise man with your T-shaped upside-down T-hat. Oh, what a guy. The problems and limitations of time travel. Followers of Otto's teachings, who also live on the n+1 dimension, act as a sort of time police. and they try to guard all the, basically they just try to guard all the clams. So as long as you're not trying to steal any clams in the other dimensions, you will not have to worry about the otter police. The grandfather paradox states that the father back when you got back in time. Alright, let me make sure I got this grammar right. States that the farther back you got back in time, the older the grouchier you get. Oh, the farther you back in time. Man, my brain's still a little murky from talking about this. Sorry, I'm gonna sweat this off. Yeah, so this is this rekindles my earlier statement that if you have sex with your own grandmother, you become your own you are your own grandfather and your grandson, who you are today. But you're also much grouchier because of that. Because the farther you go back in time, the more likely you are to have sex with your grandmother. So watch out when taking those deep leaps. Because we don't know the value of n, we can't know how effective time travel really is. If n were 0, any efforts to change the past would be negated. I was actually talking with a friend with this the other day, how 0 is actually not a number. It is an absence of a number. It is no thing. It is not in existence. So this is the loophole, and it's called the loop because 0 looks like a loop, and it's a loophole. So we need to watch out for that, and we need to do what we can to estimate the effectiveness of it. How to time travel. So this is where it really becomes cool. This is the try it yourself type of things. Obtain a worm, any worm, earthworm, sandworm, Mongolian deathworm, mealworm, just whatever you want, and create a wormhole. So you want to tie the worm at the other end of it. If it's kind of fleshy, you might want to use staples or super glue. Leave fish or an IBM 5100 in front of the wormhole and fax approximately 900 copies of Mr. T's equation to keep the time otters distracted. This is important because even though time otters don't really care what you're up to, as long as you're not trying to steal the clams, they will still very much try to like bite at your ankles, just worried that you might try and do something. But they can't arrest you. It's not under their code as long as you're not trying to steal clams. Now enter the wormhole. This may be difficult. You might have to use some. You might have to depressurize the worms because most worms are very small. There are some worms that you can find in a gooey duck farm that are in fact very large and easier to fit through, but you might want to use a decompressurizer so that you can use the worm as an elastic type of material and then stretch it around your body. Always type in Times New Roman, the official font of time travel. Shouldn't be too hard to forget. It's usually used in MLA format, and so MLA actually stands for millions of light years away. So that's where that originally comes from. Watch out for casualty. You know, there have been reported incidents of people being teleported into another dimension of time without their spinal cord or without their circulatory system. So you want to make sure that you fax you want to fax your entire cell count to the time otters because they will be distracted, but they will also have a team of them diligently working to make sure your entire body mass index reports to the new time dimension effectively as it was. Thank you for your time. Thinking fourth dimensionally, you never actually spent it. Spooky, huh? Thanks for watching. I hope you had a great time listening to this. Bing, bang, goodbye.